I love Pinterest. Yes, I do. As both a marketer and a photographer, Pinterest is fascinating to me, and I want to pass on to you everything I have learned. Hey friends, it's your good friend Tim Campbell Smith, and today we're talking about how to grow a business account on Pinterest. Pinterest is so unlike almost, if not every other social media platform. And growing it and posting on it and using it is very different than most other platforms. It definitely has a lot of similarities, but there's a lot of big key differences, which causes businesses to, frankly, go wrong in growing their Pinterest accounts. So I'm going to share with you everything I've researched, everything I've learned, everything I've implemented, both for myself and for clients. Before we go too far, make sure you like and subscribe for all things business, marketing, mental health, school, photography, life. Now, everything I'm about to tell you is in a downloadable guide. I'll link it with this video. So if you prefer to read it or you want to see maybe some of the other details that fill in the blanks, you can go download that guide. But everything that's in that guide, we're going to talk about in this video. This was based off of when I was starting to grow a Pinterest and researching it, I realized that there were some, I don't want to call them like secrets, but some unsaid practices and rules and principles. And that's what I'm passing on to you to grow a Pinterest account. So let's start here. The first place and the first way to grow, and this is actually where businesses usually go wrong, which is in our orientation to content, because pinners are planners. All content has to be future looking. Now, I heard this from a Pinterest expert. I can't take credit for it, and I want to pass it on to you. Pinterest is the only social media platform that gives us an orientation to the future. So most platforms either give us an orientation to the past, like look at what has happened, look at what has occurred, like Facebook, like LinkedIn, blogs, quite frankly, tend to be retrospective looking. Some platforms give us an orientation to the present, so look at what is happening right now. So like Instagram stories and Snapchat do this, but Pinterest is the only social media platform that gives us an orientation to the future, where we go like, look at what I will do. Look at what will happen. This is something I want for later. So your posts about your blogs and your posts with little tips aren't going to be strong enough for Pinterest. That's why so many people go wrong with Pinterest. All of this to say, your content on other platforms will not work as well on Pinterest. It has to be stunning to look at, amazing to consume, and helpful for the future, which most other social media platforms don't ask for. So let me give you some examples of how we might modify content from one platform to another. For example, a financial advisor client of mine was saying, like, if you want to save money, set up a TFSA. If I were to do this on Pinterest, I would create an infographic that sets out just one line on why is a TFSA a good financial instrument, and then steps to open a TFSA, and a mention of like, where can you open a TFSA, like a bank, a credit union, with your advisor. Another example, a realtor might show a listing and say, like, this is a listing that I have available. But on Pinterest, I'd show just 2 rooms of the house and compare and contrast them and say, like, look at the aesthetic, look at the style, or what do you think works for this aesthetic or this style? See how it's very informative, it's visually engaging, like an infographic, like a compare and contrast post with photos, and it gives us ideas for later. Next, and this is commonly BS advice that marketers give, but I'm going to get specific on how this works. Have a unique perspective. Have a way of talking about things or posting about things that is unique to you. Perspective here refers to what you post about and how you post about it. Because remember, pinners are planners and they are multifaceted. Humans have every one of us has many different interests, many different values, and different behaviors. So we have to reflect that. Also, and this is going to be a tip later on, we have to post many different types of content on many different subject matters. So the only thing that can really unify all of that is your own unique perspective. So for example, I like to talk about mental health, but more specifically, my perspective is usually men's mental health and mental health tips that people could implement in this moment so that we don't have to rely on talk therapy or prescriptions or drugs. We can implement that. That's my perspective or my unique view of and how I talk about things. So have a unique perspective. That is a unique way, a unique to you way of talking about things and knowing what to talk about and what not to talk about or post about on Pinterest. Next, and this is a big secret of the profiles that grow and grow rapidly, and that is tapping into top industries. Because of the nature of Pinterest, some industries, some topics do better than others. And actually, Pinterest is pretty public about what their top industries are. Also, if you just do a quick search for what are the top like types of posts or subject matter on Pinterest, it's very easy to find. So the list of like top pieces of content or types of content, subject matter that you can post about to grow your account would include home decor, beauty, crafts and DIY, do it yourself, women's fashion, design, food and drink, education, and more specifically, education actually refers to like educational activities, teaching and learning strategies for kids, art, entertainment, and sports and fitness. With fitness though, and sports, you gotta be careful, and we'll talk about this in a little bit, when it comes to running paid ads, because Pinterest has some specific rules around what you can run as ads around fitness. Now, there are other categories that you see a lot of content on that Pinterest doesn't identify as top content, but you may want to tap into because any search will show you a lot of these. They include nails and nail design, holiday trends, so anything relating to Christmas, Hanukkah, Ramadan, and then more specifically to usually decor and food, men's fashion, phone backgrounds and screensavers, video games, quotes, and tattoo designs. So if you can incorporate these content areas into your content, and into what you post, your Pinterest is more likely to grow and to grow faster. Remember, I know a lot of these, and for businesses, a lot of these aren't going to be relevant. So that's why it's important to have that unique perspective, right? Even though I'm a digital marketing consultant, I'm a photographer, and I like to talk about mental health, I'm also heavily tattooed. So it's pretty common for me to talk about tattoos, and I have lots of saved tattoo designs and tattoo ideas. Just like consumers have a wide worldview and think about many different things, so too should you be posting on your business account on Pinterest many different topics. It will just really help to grow if you post about top topics or subject matter that tends to do well on Pinterest. Next, and this is probably going to be the most painful one that I can talk about, the most painful advice I can give to growing on Pinterest, constantly, and let me say that again, constantly be creating content. When we talk about content machines or platforms that devour a lot of content, we tend to talk about X, formerly Twitter, right? You can be posting, 10 times a day and not a lot of people will notice because the half-life of tweets is so short because Twitter just moves so fast. Pinterest is also an absolute machine. When I was going down the rabbit hole of like research and learning from influencers on Pinterest and who grow Pinterest accounts, a common number that was referenced was 8 to 10 original pins per day. 8 to 10 original pins per day. That is so much content. What I want to highlight with that, a couple things. One, it has to be original content. It can't be repins. Repinning other people's content onto your boards doesn't do anything to grow your own account. Now, we definitely want to do that to add a little bit of fodder to the board so it's not just like your business all the time. Also, putting the pressure on yourself to have 8 to 10 pins per day is nuts, but repinning other people's content doesn't really help. So 8 to 10 original pins per day is commonly referenced as a way to grow. Now, there is a little bit of a caveat to that. Pinterest has even come out and admitted, and Tailwind has some reports on this, that you can take a pin and you can reuse it, but there is a limit. I say for safety's sake, don't reuse a pin more than 4 times. So it shouldn't show up on different boards more than 5 times total. And that's actually on the high end. I'd actually try to keep it to 4 or 3. But if you can describe a pin or the content multiple different ways, then do use that. You can repurpose that pin. That said, 8 to 10 pins per day, because Pinterest is a machine that will constantly devour content. So you've got to be constantly creating original content for Pinterest. That said, and it might sound daunting, I do want to say this though, Pinterest is the gift that keeps on giving. Once you do a pin, the half-life, or how long it takes for that pin to frankly die into oblivion, is a very long time, months to years. So your content will keep getting discovered over and over, and especially if it's high quality content that people are pinning and keep pinning and repinning, it will keep getting discovered over and over again, and you don't have to think about it, you don't have to work on it. So there is kind of a silver lining there. The other note that I want to make about all this content that you're going to be posting: alternate between idea pins and regular pins. Idea pins, they get structured a little bit different. You can add like tags for categories. Play with that. Alternate between idea pins and regular pins. Next, to grow a Pinterest account, I want you to follow seasonal trends. So one, you can start with the literal seasons. So spring, summer, fall, winter. I tend to see the seasonal trend starts about a month before the season actually starts. So like mid-April is when people start thinking and pinning and looking for pins about summer, right? And about mid-August, we start looking at fall. So you want to be a little bit ahead of the curve, ahead of the season, but you can go with like literal seasons. Seasonal trends might also include holidays, and figure out which holidays you want to observe on Pinterest. So like Christmas, Hanukkah, Ramadan, New Year's, Chinese New Year, like figure out what holidays you want to observe on Pinterest. And then with the seasonality of Pinterest, then break down into subcategories. So for every season, like fall or like Ramadan, we would then look at nails. We would then look at outfits. We would then look at activities. We would then look at, things for kids. So then think about like, what are the subcategories, or what can you post about related to that thing? My final tip for really growing a Pinterest business account, and I hope this seems obvious: run paid ads. A general principle in digital marketing is that paid ads make everything go faster, makes everything go bigger, and especially on Pinterest as well. I find though, in my experience, and like on my own Pinterest and with my clients, you tend to get a little more bang for your buck on Pinterest than you do most other social media platforms when you're running ads. Again, just a couple tips when it comes to doing ads though. Make sure you choose the right objectives. So are you trying to get website traffic? Are you trying to get people to your profile? Are you trying to get people just to see the pin? What are you trying to achieve? And the other principle is to be really specific in your targeting parameters, especially if your business is locally focused or is geographically bound. So if you could only deliver or ship, within, say, Canada, then make sure your ad only shows to people in Canada. The other tip I want to say, and I might get in some trouble from Pinterest for this, don't listen to Pinterest's suggestions on how much to spend. When you start spending money on ads, Pinterest will get you a dedicated account specialist, usually for paid ads, who I totally recommend you talk to, because it's like having a Pinterest expert working with you. But having talked to a couple of them, both of them suggested I spend $50 a day minimum for 10 days minimum, and actually recommended 30 days. So they're going to recommend a budget that may be inaccessible to you. I have definitely run ads for $10, for $20, for $50 for the whole thing, and gotten great results. So you don't have to listen to Pinterest's suggestions on how much you should spend. Though generally remember, the less you spend, you tend to get less results. The more you spend, you tend to get more results. And those are the big ways to grow a Pinterest account. So pinning often, all the time, because remember, Pinterest is a machine. When you post, that you're posting future looking content that people save and want to hold on to, and that it follows either seasonal patterns or falls into like the top categories, top types of content. And make sure that you're prioritizing your own original content. When it comes to content as well, which is still such a fabulous way to get discovered on Pinterest, remember as well, keep in mind the keywords that people will be searching to find your pins. Whatever you think people are searching to find your pins, make sure those words show up in your pin titles and your pin descriptions. Remember as well, Pinterest loves links, so it's okay to be putting links with your pins. They're not going to get decreased reach like we may see on platforms like Facebook, for example. Comment and let me know. What's your relationship to Pinterest? How are you finding it? Otherwise, make sure you like and subscribe for all things business, photography, mental health, school, and life. Otherwise, we'll chat soon. Bye for now.